So you can see my pomegranate is coming along. Here's my source material. So remember, your goal is to take a source material and do a faithful copy, but you can put a new spin on it because you're taking something real and you're making it into a painting. So we're not worrying about being completely realistic in our process. Remember also to try different colors, so explore some different things. So we're going to drop in the leaves, maybe add a cast shadow. You can kind of see the whole process come together. So as I'm working, you can see I'm starting with green, but it's not going to stay just green. We'll add in some other colors, and you can kind of see that it's on a green background, which is not ideal, but I'm going to show you some tips on how to manage that. So because I did the leaf second, you can actually see that the leaf is going to look closer than the pomegranate because the green is on top of the red. But that's why I'm not going to do the leaf last. I still have a little bit of touching up to do on this pomegranate, so then it'll kind of all come together. You can see I loaded up my brush with yellow and green because then I can get both of them on the brush strokes at the same time. So I have the leaves enough of the way I want them. And two things about that. One, the leaves are not the focal point, so I want them there. They're on the object and they help round it out and balance it. But I'm not gonna go as much all in on the leaves as I am here because I just want them to be there. I don't want them to be the focal point. Put a little bit more emphasis in terms of colors, brightness, values. You want this to be the part that catches the eye, not the leaf. Second thing, normally I would not have done a green background, so since it was here, I used it. So you can see how this green is really not standing out. Normally, if I knew I was going to be using a lot of red and I had a lot of green going on, I would pick a color that would offset that. So I would probably have started with like a purple background to offset all the other colors I was using, or even maybe some yellows or something like that. So when I do my cast shadow, there's a little bit of a shadow underneath here. So now I can kind of use the cast shadows to offset all that green a little bit. So as I'm starting the cast shadow, similarly to what we've talked about before, I need to get my darkest value right alongside here. I can't have it darker here and then lighter. For things to be believable, that they have form and mass, they need to have a believable shadow. Part of this is as I'm dropping this color, see how automatically it's almost wiping it away. So experiment with different angles. Load up your brush a little bit differently and just make sure that you get your darkest value right up hugging next to your object. Remember, I'm still going to go over, I said I wasn't 100% done with the pomegranate yet. I have a little bit more to finish up here. So that way I know I can come back over it with a little bit of red or purple right here. So if I go a little bit into the pomegranate, it's okay. But I want to make sure that my shadow is darker here, and if anything, it's going to be lighter over here. If you notice, you tend to just lighten your brush stroke as you go. Experiment with doing things upside down too, because you might realize that you can control the paint differently in different directions. I am not going to entirely cover up what I have. I'm going to use the texture of the canvas. I'm going to do a little bit more cast shadow and then we'll be back. Alright, so you can see I kind of got my cast shadow going. I got a real strong shadow over here, but because the light is coming right here, I do have a little bit of cast shadow that's not as dark on this side, so I got most of it here. So you know how I was talking about how these leaves were kind of mixing up with the background. You can see right here what I'm doing is just brushing a little bit of yellow to kind of make the edge of like a table or something. So as I drop this down, what's happening is giving me a lighter value, and it's going to be a little bit more of a contrast to my object, so that my object will pop a little bit. So I'm going to finish that up and then we'll come back. I add a little bit of yellow back here to kind of separate this, and it kind of gives me a little bit of a, like, what it's sitting on. So it gives me a tabletop feel. And cast shadow. So we're pretty much good to go. I could easily end and be done with this. What I am gonna do though is, I said I wanted to make sure that this edge is nice and solid because I did the cast shadow after it. There's a little bit of this edge that I want to bring back in, and there's a little bit of brightness I want to kind of bring into a couple of these parts. This is a little bit flat. I'm just gonna do 1 or 2 things to it and then pretty much done.